Welcome, Wargamers. Join your hosts, Bonko and Monte, two Canadian wargaming enthusiasts, as we explore all aspects of tabletop wargaming. We roll dice, talk tactics, share hobby hacks, and explore new tabletop systems, all on the Trident Wargaming Podcast. Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Trident Wargaming, and we are doing our first episode of Horus Heresy 2.0. Now that it's dropped, it was a crazy release weekend, and I think everybody had almost a mini Christmas, it seems. There were smiling hobbyists all over the world now that the box set's dropped. So, joined once more with my co-host Andy.
Hey guys.
And the rest of the Battle Bros, we've got Alex here.
Hey, Heresy fans.
And I've got Dan as well.
Hello.
So, yeah, we're just kicking it here, talking about our biggest reactions to Horus Heresy 2.0. I guess to kick things off, though, we'll talk a little bit about some hobby stuff. Being release weekend, I guess, there's been some action going on all over. You can see it on all the Facebook pages, but I guess we'll start with you, Alex. What's new on the hobby plate for you?
I built it all.
Built it all.
What do you mean you built it all?
I built it all.
Oh.
I have piles of plastic Mark 6 on my desk. Bodies everywhere. Contemptor bodies. Marine bodies, 3D bits. I got everything built.
How many sets did you get?
2.
Actually,
I'm not fully done all the Marines from the 2 sets. I'm fully done the 1 set and I'm about halfway through the 2nd set right now. And I'm just
and then
doing
you got
bodies for the 2nd set.
Yeah, and then you got my set and Bill's set to make, and Andy's set. We'll just
I've only got 60 Marines, bro. It's nothing.
I'm gonna have to pass the tendinitis workers comp claim on my jogger.
Oh man,
at work. I don't know what happened.
Oh boy. At least you have those fancy clippers. What are those
good
things
thing
called?
you've got God hand clippers to get you through the struggle.
God hand nippers. If you want a general PSA / marketing advertisement, like if they'll send us like a free set or 2, like I'll plug those things all day long.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Japan, are you listening?
Yeah, we would like a new set each, please. They are pretty snazzy, I won't lie. Yeah. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll have a picture of them floating up here so you can actually see them and behold.
It just makes it so
perfect for cutting out your new Horus Heresy miniatures.
They came
have a plastic addiction
in a package just like this, but they are not in the package anymore. So
good stuff.
How about yourself, Dan? Oh, sorry.
I guess I'll go. I literally just opened the box and like separated the sprues. Honestly, I didn't even know what was really in it. I knew there was the 40 Marines, the Spartan. I didn't know there was 10 Cataphractii. That's double than what I thought it was. So now I got to figure out what to do with them, and I just kind of have to plan which way I'm going to go. I've been kind of racking my brain about it. I know that Alex is just building to build, but I was kind of trying to do more of a plan. But I probably should just build to build. So
if you need more, you can always buy more. Games Workshop loves that shit.
Yeah, I know.
Plus, it's new and shiny. Who doesn't want more models?
Hey, buddy, he wants more of that plastic.
The plastic I want is the stuff they don't have yet. You know, I want a plastic Charybdis and a plastic Demios Vindicator. That's the stuff I want.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when that stuff, well, whatever comes out, I guess.
Yeah.
So
I've heard rumors of new releases from now till September. Just
crazy.
dropping. So should be.
Would it just be the Predator and the Sicarian that they showed?
that, the Leviathan, and then who knows what else is coming down the pipe.
Leviathan, yeah.
It's hard to say. Hard to say.
Fair enough. Yeah, myself, just trying to get some Thousand Suns kind of built and whatnot. Had a whole bunch of MK3 still kicking around from the other sets, which I never used, so started putting those together and just kind of, like Dan, opened up the box, took that big whiff of, new car smell.
Yeah.
Same thing with the books, just took it all in, and then, just kind of, started looking at stuff, talking about stuff. Chat's going crazy, Facebook's going crazy, that kind of stuff. So, really, that's about it.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you always get that sensory overload. Because you always remember what, GW plastic smells like, and you always know what, like, resin smells like. And you always get, like, that. I don't even know if it's so much like a shopper's high of being like, oh, this is new stuff. But
so I've been playing since I was like 6 years old, and
just a youngling.
Yeah, my mom accidentally walked me into a Games Workshop store in England when we were on a family vacation when I was a kid, and that was game over. And I remember
England
cracking open my 3rd edition box set, and the smell of that rule book is the same smell that we're still getting out of the rule books today. There's a memory recall.
Yeah, I was just gonna say just
it's my childhood rule book every time I open up a rule book.
Printed in China. So
yeah, apparently my entire childhood has been remembrance from China.
Awesome.
Nice. It's you know what? Actually, it's been interesting with all of us kind of, looking at miniatures, looking at rules, all that kind of stuff. The one thing that blows my mind, and probably some of you guys as well, because you guys have already done it as well. I think all 3 of you may have done it. Is the character conversions that have been blasting the fucking webway?
Yeah.
Everybody's pretty much done it. With one or the other Praetors that come in the box set, which was pretty funny. So
it's nice to see though, because don't get me wrong, the models themselves are really nice, but I think that's kind of always been like the spirit of Heresy is creating and converting your own character to suit your kind of needs, right? And it's quite nice to see Heresy is very much alive and well, and everyone's got their creative juices flowing. I know myself, for hobby stuff, I converted my Praetor, the Sons of Horus Axe guy, made him into a Paragon Blade, Lightning Claw, Word Bearer Praetor, who kind of looks like a mini Abaddon. And no. New Legions. It's tough because there's so much stuff. I also, I picked up 2 sets myself. There's a lot of crap in there. I did trade some stuff off. I got another Spartan because I wanted another one, and I'm kind of at a point. And Dan, you kind of touched on this today. Like, there's so much going on online and armies, legions. We're talking slow grow. We're talking what we want to bring. And even myself, I'm like, I don't really know where to start. There's just a lot to take in.
And this is coming from, Heresy vet players from the last edition, right?
Yeah.
We've
been playing for at least 8-9 years.
Well, since it came out. I mean, since the Beta era, and then it switched over to Heresy for us, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you are right. Like, you're kind of like looking at it as it's a whole new thing. I mean, we could go on forever about things like that, but it's refreshing. It's very refreshing because just the interaction between the Heresy communities are going berserk right now, which is great because there was a pretty big lull for it. But yeah, continue, Bill. You were saying. just with
Just,
not sure where to go, right?
Yeah, with just so much available at one point in time, it's just like, okay. I've got, tons of stuff to build. I'll probably, like I said earlier in a couple chats, I'll start working on my Spartan, try and get that built up first. Really appreciate the new kit for what it is. And then I've got just a ton of Marines, more Terminators. I traded some Terminators. I was looking for that sweet Tartaros. I think they're going to be very nice this edition as well. Plus, they're cheaper, and I always like being able to sweep and run. It felt like a very powerful thing to be able to do as far as Terminators go. But yeah, just kind of slowly start picking away, see how it's going to go. Again, working on my word bearers. I do want to start up another Legion, a Loyalist one, but I'm kind of all over the place, torn, with no real direction. I keep talking about a couple different ones, and it's tough. But
we're all like that.
Yeah.
Especially
because like last night and this morning, I kind of had this little meltdown, a little anxiety, because I have lots of stuff, and I was going through my basement. I was like, oh, I could do this, I could do that, because I had no real guidance to what I want to do. I'm playing a brand new Legion, and I know this is usually a bad word, but there's no meta, and to guide you of being like, hey, 40 tactical Marines is really good.
Yeah.
Maybe I should build 40 tactical Marines. Or 40 tactical Marines might be the worst thing and a waste of time. And I'm like, man, and I'm a slow painter, so I'm like, do I want to waste my time doing this or this? And I was just kind of like getting in my own head. And then I was going on Facebook, and there's all these guys posting all their armies like finished already and stuff like this, like way past what Alex has done. And it only came out like 4 days ago or 3 days ago or whatever. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, holy crap. And then, the guys settled me down, and then it was kind of just, do your thing one day at a time kind of thing. And I was like, oh, okay, just take a breather and, play my old armies until I get my new army to where it wants, or where there is a meta, and you realize that, yes, this is a good way to play armies.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And like that little game that we had, I mean, that's why I didn't really build anything until we really got together, right? We sat down, we built 750 points or whatever, right? And it was just like, screw it, I'll bring the Ultramarines, and here's a few units. Let's see how they interact, right? Let's see what happens, and just went from there. Literally took, no special like Ultramarine units, just generic Astarte units, and just applied the Ultramarine rules to them throughout the game. And I think that's for the guys who are just getting in there, that's probably one of the best things to probably do, is just take some units, try them out, get to learn the game, learn the rules, the interactions, all that stuff, right? And then decide, okay, you know what? This is the army for me. Okay, let's see how I can do this. Let's see how I can build it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we're going to get a lot of that because we have tons of new players coming in, right? Like, I'm sure each of us have gotten a message from somebody. Hey, how do you build this? What do you think of this? What's the best way to use tactical Marines? Like stuff like that, right? So
the other thing too is like we talk a lot about in our group and the podcast too about the meta, and in this instance of the conversation, we're not talking about like what unit is best. When you have a blank slate like this and you've got 100 options in front of you, it kind of does come down to picking something that you will have fun playing with, that you can afford,
100%,
that doesn't leave you consistently disadvantaged against your friends that are also picking up the same armies and picking up asking these same types of questions, and also stepping into the game for the first time, either as a veteran player or a new player, looking at the options in front of you as as a fresh start. Like, hey, are the chain bayonets going to be worth it? Do I model this as a power fist? And people who aren't as maybe experienced as us or have our collections of bits and models, are looking at this and saying like, hey, I've got 40 Marines to work with. I've got multiple sprues. I want to build 3 sergeants, and I've got these options. I don't want to waste this model I've just spent a considerable amount of money on.
Yeah.
And I want to build something that is
That's
like
true.
not terrible at the same time. And they're looking at this to say, like, a lot of people are just putting up their hands saying, like, hey, I don't want to screw this up. I'm going to glue this thing on in 10 minutes and I'm stuck. I don't know what decision to make here.
Mhm.
And it's like, it's not necessarily about like, how do I crush my friends at this point? It's like, I just don't
It's
want
not.
to screw up this model that I'm building for the first time.
Yeah. And
No,
that's-
it's
And that's a fair statement. Yeah, for sure. Like that's
Like I've seen 100 posts here just in the last 48 hours of like, what do I equip my sergeants with?
Yeah.
Or like, is artificer armor good? Or what is a Nuncio Vox worth it on a squad of tactical marines?
Mhm.
And as veterans, we're like, in the new edition, yeah, that seems good. Typically PFIS and Meltabones works. Like, yes, you want to use artificer. Those are pretty natural questions for us. But I'm seeing a lot of stuff like come out that people have no idea what they're looking at, and they're just looking for some guidance here on like how to build a model so they don't waste their time and money on something. Which is again not a meta chaser quote unquote question. It's just I don't want to screw this up because I just spent a boatload of money on it.
Yeah, I can see that point of view for it, which makes complete sense.
Unless you're
'cause,
me.
yeah,
Then I'm building it because I'm going to crush you.
And I was gonna say I'm on the complete opposite end because I can build 10 sergeants, and I'm like, do I want to build a sergeant with a power fist and a plasma pistol, and then a power fist with no plasma pistol? Because I have all these bits of playing for 10 years, and I'm like,
yeah.
that's where the overwhelming gets, and then I'm like, fuck, I just wasted 10 models building 10 sergeants because I wanted to get to that point where I could have all that. So I mean, and then I'm looking at it because you're saying that simplicity might make people resistant to building these things. In my mind, I'm almost like simplicity would have almost been better for me if I had just the option, or I only had these many options rather than 20 options I know I could build personally.
Yeah.
I think Dan's kind of like a plasma gun, right? With the gets hot rule, he just goes hard and shoots hard with the plasma and rolls a 1. It's like, oh boy, overdrive. Your brain just keeps going, right? Like you just keep thinking of like, what are my options? Can I have them all? Can I, That's a lot of
from,
that's a lot of us though, right?
Well, that's
that. And who's paying 10 points for a fucking pistol that only runs on a 4?
Yeah.
Well,
Throw that
not
pistol in the
but
garbage.
Yeah, that was just my example. But yeah, it was just.
Well, you go into overdrive, right?
So much, yeah, and that might just be the old, playing. It's probably from playing the same rules for 10 years, jumping into a brand new rule set and not knowing nothing. I mean, the rules are similar in ways, but different in a lot, and it's going to this different system of being, and then being like, I don't even know what I'm doing, and I got guys asking me what they should be doing.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
you're the old guard, man. Like,
that's right. Well,
yeah, I know.
I think a lot of it also comes from, to expand on your point, Dan, is coming from being a vet of version 1 and having access to all these options. Where having access to all those options in first edition was great because you could build a bear, any squad, any type you wanted. This is how you ran your sergeants. You're like, yeah, right? Like, everyone had an option. Everyone's got like a bolter and a power fist sarge just ready to swap in and out just because, that's what you're taking.
Mm-hmm.
And now it is different. I think that is really the struggle, is people are trying to figure out what's going to give them the mileage through the game and be maybe not like the best option, but a good solid option for them to play that they can, just jump in and start rocking out.
Well, yeah, nobody wants to waste 50 points on a sergeant that's going to die every game and do nothing, right? So
yeah.
You wonder, like, I wonder if sometimes, like, maybe the guys who are coming from 40K, because they're not used to having those options, like all those options. Maybe it kind of just like, oh, it's not in front of me on a data slate anymore, right? Like I have all these options. What's the best loadout? What's going to be the most effective? Like, there could be that too, right? Guys just they don't know, and they're so used to the other way. So
I think now that I'm thinking about it, and what I've seen a lot on Facebook too, is I think Battlescribe was a crutch. Because now I have to literally build my lists by hand, and I can't just do it on Battlescribe and just sort of swap things and be like, oh, okay, I need 10 points. Maybe I won't take the Artificer armor on my Sergeant.
Yeah.
And that's part of what's part of the... You can literally see what's on the list rather than me going through the books and figuring out, oh, okay, and then going, oh, what does this grenade do? And I have to flip through the books and find the grenade or whatever. Battlescribe was sort of like a crutch, and now that we're starting all fresh, Battlescribe's got to catch up. That could be months, that could be tomorrow, could be whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I think now that I'm thinking about it, because I see a lot of posts on Facebook, when is Battlescribe going to update? But they're not affiliated. It could be months.
Yeah.
GW, if they were smart, should have had this running on their app. But
would have been nice, yeah.
It would have been nice.
You know what? That's coming though, man. That's coming in the Codex supplements next year. There's going to be codes in the book, and you upload it to your Warhammer app. Yes. Just like everything else, it'll be great. But
pay for your PDFs and then use the codes to upload to your Warhammer app.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. But this is the thing
for GW at this point.
I can't say. I can't say. But this is the thing Battlescribe though has been a crutch for people for a long time, and before Battlescribe caught on really big, myself, I was a big proponent of pen and paper. And I even had like flashcards of units because like I was my own fucking Battlescribe, you know? Here's my squad of Terminators, it's 195. I already know how much. I still remember the old point cost from making and doing that. Like that was memorizing not only your list but your rules. And I really think to write everything down to that point, to have that granularity where you can really go to every little piece, I think that helps you learn your rules that much faster, and your equipment, your point costs, so you're able to kind of throw lists together on the fly, and also, you know, be able to kind of build your list as you're going. And if we all knew the point costs of everything, I think we'd be well on our way to just building shit. But because we're all kind of learning fresh, it was crazy
to see. It was crazy to see a picture of a pad of paper with an army written in pen compared to the whole Battlescribe transcript posted in Messenger the other day. I was like, damn, that brings me back. It's like, that's good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's one of those things.
I guess so with the game, I mean, we had a game. We had a 3-way game just to kind of learn a little bit, right? Play a little bit, see how it all interacts.
Yeah.
So
it was good just to throw dice. Night fighting. Let's just start from the beginning, I guess. Night fighting was pretty game changing, I'd say.
Well, we had no real long range shooting, but yes, it was. It's very different because you're rolling on 2s now, and the leadership and the -1 to hitting and always having a 24-inch bubble really changes how first turn's going to be.
Yeah, I feel, and I'd want to make kind of a point every time we kind of talk about something new. I feel like obviously this is intended to curb the alpha strike that 1.0 was suffering from. This is a really good way to do it. I think it's been done well enough where it's not completely backbreaking, but at the same time, just for general smalls arms fire and just, you know, rolling through, the potential for turn 1-2 for it to still be night fighting is really high, and it does affect it enough where, you know, it'll curb a lot of the bad. Minus, okay, there's, searchlights and everything else that you can kind of negate it, but they're 5 points each now. They're included for free on vehicles, right? Like everything, you can take anything you want, but you're going to pay little bits here and there for it. So that part I really did like.
I think 2 turns of it is bullshit, personally.
Whoa.
I think it's gonna give a melee centric armies a substantial advantage, because like typically you got a turn 1, turn 2 charge right now reasonably. Turn 2 deep strikes with night fighting, neg 1 to hit is gonna be tough. I think you're gonna see a lot of melee as a result.
But there's still a chance that night fighting doesn't happen, right?
At the beginning, yeah, if you don't roll 2+.
Right. So unfortunately, I know it's 2+, but hey, I'm infamous for rolling 1s, so like
make it look easy, right?
Yeah. I get both sides of it. Yeah, melee armies, you're definitely going to see them, like Alex was saying. Shooting. Still, you're still going to be able to fire, but Dan mentioned the 24-inch bubble, is it? I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's going to be interesting. And then combo, depending if you're deep striking and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Like there's different ways of going around that, but we'll have to see how it plays out. Really.
Oh, it's good because as someone who played Armored Breakthrough for years, and you'd get those moments where you'd get those first turns where you just wipe out half the guy's army on the first turn. Now that's just going to curb that, because now moving is going to be mostly what's going to be happening in the first turn. Yeah. So you're going to have those moments where you can move units that have short shooting, and it seems like a lot of things are short shoot. They brought the range back on things for a lot of things. So moving is going to be huge in this game, and that's why they gave everything 7 or 8 inch movement, so that you can run up, and that you have these world eater armies of 80 Marines running up the board, which look thematic and cool, and they're not going to die first turn.
And word bear armies with Galvorback, 80 of them running up the board.
But yeah, I can see where there might be an imbalance, like what Alex is saying, that the shift might turn into just people taking deep striking, assault marines, rather than just having a shooting army that can just wipe you off half the turn. But that's good though.
Well, it is, and to counter that though. Okay, so now everyone's starting to take deep striking armies. Well, let me tell you, you're opening up that coin purse so you can start shelling out for some interceptor. Like, the game's always going to be about reacting, right? Like, we all know it's coming. The Spartan meta, everyone's going to have a Spartan. They all got one in the goddamn box. People are going to be building armies. I want to pop that Spartan. I want to deal with the deep striking units coming into my face. I need to have some sort of searchlight, because I want to be able to blast the scary stuff while it's on that side of the board. It's already starting to kind of happen. What you need is a couple months of gameplay behind it, and you'll really start to see the lines kind of get drawn on. I do think melee armies will probably be a big boost, and that's great, because 1.0 melee was good, but shooting was like king.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and each edition it kind of pendulums back and forth on shooting and combat, and who knows, this might be a really close to like center balance where shooting's good, but combat is strong, and it's kind of almost that perfect balance between the two. With the reactions added, it changes a lot too.
That's true.
Yeah, and we'll just get to your little point there about that shooting was strong in the last edition. You're really struggling in the chat about your word bearers, because you're like, man, my Iron Warriors are going to be so good. They're this and that.
They are.
I have all this shooting, but Alex is saying no, combat's going to be the way to go, and you're having this struggle, this internal struggle of being like, fighting your inner nature of wanting to
your demons
shoot guys. And it's funny
true.
because I made that comment of what is it? What good is a knife in a nuke fight?
Yeah,
That's right.
Like
Starship Troopers scene where he throws the knife in the hand.
That's exactly the picture I posted.
Yeah, how can he push the button if his hand's disabled, right? So
that's right. But it is, yeah. And
my point is, if
I am struggling with it. No, it's true though. It's true.
I think we're all probably gonna
your nature, right? Yeah.
We're all probably gonna struggle a little bit with in the next few months of just trying to figure out where we're at and what we want and how we want to play with these new armies, right?
That's just it. It's how do I want my head canon to translate to the tabletop now? Because coming from first edition, my Iron Warriors did that job well. I shot the shit out of you from range, and I didn't get my hands dirty unless I wanted to. Right? If I was throwing a squad of Marines at you, it was to tie you up, to slow you down, and I usually let you charge me because I'm thinking a step ahead. But now it's like, well, I don't know. It's how am I going to translate these armies now into the system? The one thing that I found, like, here's a hot take for me for Heresy itself is a lot of the things feel like they built the fluff into the mechanics for a lot of these units and a way that the legions play, or the way that they're intended to play from the rules. And it looks like vehicles are really good. A lot of shit's AP3 now. And I still think infantry are going to be just insane in this game because of line and everything else that you're going to need. But it feels like Marines and the characters, Terminators, Dreads, are all outfitted to be able to kill Marines well. So it's going to be this like crazy struggle of getting blasted by all these different vehicles. You'll be, doing your reactions, evading and everything. And then it's going to be these massive blob armies just pushing towards each other. And it's just going to be Gears of War up and down the line. Everyone's chain bayoneting. Everyone's just trying to kill each other. And it's going to be crazy. Like, it feels like, infantry got killy, vehicles got less, and they really want to push you into the middle of that table and just brawl it out.
Yeah, and like another big factor, like getting back into the game we played.
Yeah.
This was our first game. Like, it was literally just a fumble fuck up. It ended up being a 3-way. We played 750, and reactions kind of made things very different in how we were thinking and how we were starting to play the game. Because I took Cataphracti and jumped them across the table because I just kept reacting with them, and all of a sudden now they were in Andy's face like third turn, and they're like the slowest unit in the game.
Yeah,
and then Bill pushed his guys away from me, so I couldn't assault Tim. And it was just sort of like this back and forth of like reacting on each other. And you could really see where the strategy, because we're all kind of just sitting there kind of thinking about how to utilize all of this in game. And so I think reactions are going to be a huge part of the game. And I think they're going to be like 9th, where if you don't utilize them, you will lose every game.
No.
Unless your opponent doesn't know what he's doing and he's just throwing dice.
Yeah.
But
embrace the change, in other words.
And yes. And I think it's going to be a huge thing, and I think you're going to start noticing that certain armies might have stronger reactions, but it's utilizing them at the right time and the perfect time. Because there was like when we were playing the game, I was like, "Hey Bill, why didn't you do this reaction?" And he was like, "Oh, I didn't even think about doing that reaction at that time, right?" And it was just he lost like half his assault marines.
I lost a lot of them. So just remember, guys, there are core reactions, and then there's also your Legion one. That's really good. The advanced reactions, and I totally forgot about my advanced reaction. which would have saved my squad. And realistically, I should have just deep striked them, but I didn't. Tried to play it safe.
And I kind of made that comment to you and Andy, and I was just like, I think people are going to treat the Legion reactions as treasures, and they're going to hold on to them and never use them because they're once use only, and they think they're super strong, and they'll just wait till the perfect time to use it. But that perfect time will be at the end of the game when game's over.
When you're already lost.
Oh,
yeah.
I never used it. Yeah. And I think because mine was just like I was getting Death Guard. What happens is they get feel no pain, and then they get a free 7-inch move.
Yeah.
Well, Andy shot bolters at my Terminators. I think he did like 3 wounds. I was just like, I'm going to use my reaction. Now my Cataphractii jumped up the table 7 inches.
Yeah.
And it was just, it wasn't, would it be appropriate time? Probably not. But did it help my Cataphractii get across the table? 100%.
Yeah.
And then they were in his face the next turn.
Yeah.
But it's just, and I think that's where I think him and Hong's going to be a big thing with like, oh, am I going to use the reaction now or then? And I think I was also talking with the guys about that reactions are going to be a 2-player thing where in friendly games, where a guy missed an opportunity, you're going to be like, sure. But in a tournament, if you move that model and the guy doesn't react to it and you move on to the next model, that's it for that reaction for that guy.
Yep.
So, and I think might be a big problem.
I brought that up, like how I mentioned it, right, as well as, but you guys were saying too, like in a tournament, just like Dan had mentioned, and I can see it straight up in a tournament. Well, you're playing in a tournament, you should be concentrated on that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But when you're playing against friendly games or whatever, pickup games, whatever, it's going to be good to coach each other a little bit here and there, or ask afterwards, right? Well, why didn't you use that? At a certain moment, kind of thing, to make people aware, because especially in the first few months of playing games, I know with us, we continuously do that kind of thing to make our game better.
Yeah.
To help each other out, right?
That said, though, gone are the days of, hey, man, I'm just going to do my movement phase while you go grab, a drink or whatever, and when you come back, we'll continue, and that's done. Like, you're going to have to be present for that movement phase, because reactions are going to be a thing, right?
Yeah.
Because, during that game, Bill went inside to go use the bathroom or whatever, because we were playing in his garage. But, he went to the bathroom or look after his kids or whatever, and I was talking to Andy, I'm like, I'm literally can't do nothing because I don't want to move and then him be like, oh, yeah, I should have reacted there. I'm going to react, right? I know they were playing a friendly game or whatever, but he also needs to be present to know that I moved into it or I'm going to shoot him, right? So, and I think this was the whole point of GW adding reactions so that it was a 2-player game and not just a one guy playing one turn by himself.
Yeah.
It's a more interactive sequence, right? Like,
and it's good. I mean, sure, there's a little, we can't,
keeps you on your toes.
Go off and buy a cheeseburger, but it engages everybody, and I think that's really going to help with the game.
Yeah, because... just skip the dishes.
Yes, and guys, and it might engage guys too that are just sitting there, because then they're going to be like, okay, I'm waiting for that unit to come up and move into my face, right, so that I can react in a certain way. And now you're preemptively waiting and using your mind while your opponent's moving and stuff. And I don't know, it makes it awesome. It adds the tactability and the strategy and on both sides. Because now the other guy's got to think, oh, that guy's got this up his sleeve and this and this. So if I move into combat, like during our game, I was trying to wrap Bill because I didn't want him to run away from me. Because I was just like, I can't get him. I don't want him to run away. So that's going to be a huge thing, I think, is people trying to wrap
squads,
our units to try and trap them. And you see that in Ninth.
Yeah.
To try and trap units from escaping combat.
Due to
So,
like falling back, failed morales test, right?
Yeah,
Interesting.
but I don't know. I digressed, and I got a little heated there about reactions. I really like them. That's really all I gotta say.
They're a big positive change in the game for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
How about you, Alex? Do you like reactions?
I fucking love reactions.
Yeah, he didn't. He ended up having to watch his kids that night. But
Yeah.
like from what you read and seen, like, do you think it's going to really change the like outcome of games?
Yeah.
Well, it will. It will. Like simply said, right? Simply said, it will change a lot, though. It really, it was cool.
So if you played 9th edition, in the introduction of stratagems originally had a very similar response. It's like, oh my god, it's going to slow down the game. This is stupid. It opens it up to gotcha moments. I think what they've done here is very calculated and smart in the way that they've rolled out a couple very simplistic, easy to use, referenceable stratagems called reactions that allow you to be engaged in your player's turn without drastically changing the way the core mechanics that 40k is known for, which is like I go, you go, which they kind of have broken a little bit with AOS and Titanicus, but I don't think they could have done that to the 30k community without upsetting the core base. And so what they've introduced is a mechanic that engages both players in the narrative of the game, and I think that's important. It creates a like I looked at all the reactions. I've read the rules. I've read the army specific reactions. Going back to the playtesting, and I don't see anything in the reactions that is like a over the top like I'm going to use this and it's going to cause me to win the game. All it is it's I'm going to use this, and narratively it fits with the Legion. It fits with mechanics. It fits with the story that I think players are interested in telling each other. And I think it's a good core mechanic to use without crazily upsetting the balance of the kind of the core mechanics of the game. I think it's actually pretty brilliant.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty well said. And I was just thinking, last time we were talking about reactions and all this stuff, and I think that's really the biggest part of the game that's changing the most.
Yeah.
And it's really what's adding so much to the game from something that, we've been playing for 10 plus years was so simple. Now they added just one little tweak and it's turned this into a completely different game. It's not even the same game anymore.
No.
Sure, there's still templates and you still charge and you still move in this, but the game mechanics change in that aspect of reacting to anything or everything or how many you have and points and stuff like that. And I think it really changed the game for better. And they didn't even really change like Legions stuff. I mean, some of the Legions changed a bit, but all they did was add this one mechanic, and I think it changed Heresy for the better. And what we've been waiting for 10 years.
There's a really good quote. I remember hearing it a lot after 9th edition came out and listening to kind of the competitive 40k players. And the phrase was make your opponent have to make tough decisions when they're playing them. Like, I'm gonna do this. That's gonna force you to either like sacrifice this unit or do this. And so basically the person who wins a game is the person who makes the least amount of mistakes and forces their opponent to make bad decisions. Yeah. And I thought it was like, hey, that's a pretty interesting mindset to how to play. It's not, it's a very personal thing. It's like, I'm not going to be better than you. I'm going to make decisions that force you to make hard decisions, and I'm going to make less mistakes. I think literally the same type of theory has been applied to Horus Heresy in the sense that now you're not making, it's forcing players to make decisions in the active and reactive phases. But rather than, I guess, for like a gotcha moment or a winning perspective, it actually allows you to force your opponent to make decisions that actually feed the narrative. There's going to be that moment that every World Eaters player is going to have where you're either going to get overwatched or you're going to get countercharged, but you have to make the charge because it's who you fucking are. And those
that's true.
That's
very true.
Kind of cool way to play the game.
Yeah. No, it is for real. I like that.
It makes sense though, like you're saying with the actual like fluff or the story or whatever for each legion, right? Like the Ultramarines, your advanced reaction is pretty much piggybacking off of one unit firing as a reaction. You can activate another unit to fire upon that same unit that just attacked you. So it's like the Legion brothers are tag teaming the opponent to try to get rid of him, which is very much the Codex Astartes kind of thing, right? Like trying to utilize each Marine to their best abilities and try to eliminate the enemy quickly in certain reactions and stuff. So and then Bill's Wordbearer one that he missed out on, where he pretty much sacks a guy, sacrifices a legionnaire and to the gods or whatever, and he's saved, right?
It's basically once I'm targeted for a shooting attack, I declare I'm using the reaction, and there's no hit or wound rolls made. I simply just pull off a model, the model counts as destroyed, and the shooting attack is done.
Yeah,
that's
Get
it.
Fuck Jim.
Yeah,
blood god.
Yeah.
So it pretty much becomes a shield, a meat shield, right? So, which is cool because it's very word bearer like, for sure.
There's a little demon commissar in the back.
There's something for sure.
Just make a little miniature with a portal and an arm coming out of the portal.
Yeah, there you go.
He yanks him back. Yeah.
It's just an Imperial Guard commissar's just arm coming out of a portal.
It's like a cartoon sound effect.
Yeah. That's funny. But like with the game too, just from that little match that we had, I should say, I think the armies are going to collide and clash a lot quicker. Just with the way the movement works and, being able to do the run and whatnot all at the same kind of moment, plus the reactions for advancing or, can't remember what the other one's called, but moving away kind of thing.
Withdraw.
So now in saying that, there goes my screen. With saying that, it's going to be very tactical and whatnot to keep in mind, like when you're doing these kind of reactions, around objectives and stuff like that. It might put you out of place, right? You might be forced to abandon ship on an objective or something, and or you might be able to use it to your advantage of getting closer to objectives, right? And it all depends on your arming position and your supporting units and all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting to see, because I know, like, I was moving around and I was trying to push up to get close in the range and stuff like that, right? And then Dan's reaction happened and he moved closer and he was fairly close, and I was like, oh, okay, he's Terminators against my Marines. Well, I'm probably going to react by withdrawing to get away.
Yeah.
Right?
In that moment, he realized he fucked up.
Yeah. So, and it was just like, that's when it dawned on me right there. It was like, you really are going to have to watch out with those reactions as well.
Yeah.
And, your other movement and running and all that stuff, right? So, which is good.
Alex was saying, you're trying to make your opponent make those hard choices, and that's exactly because you brought that up during our game. Was like, so what if I do have a 10-man tactical Marines sitting on an objective? And you're like, do I withdraw to protect I'm potentially losing points. And
Yeah.
it's just like, so do I either stand there and sit and potentially just get wiped out by some combat-oriented unit, or do I potentially withdraw and come back to try and shoot them off that objective in my next turn? And so it's making those hard choices of, do I sit and shoot, or try to survive, or do I run away and fight later? So
one thing about the new system that really kind of took me by surprise, and it seems like such a small thing, but it really adds up quickly, is the advanced reaction and then the surge rule for failing your assault. So advanced reaction, basically, you call it, you're going to do your thing, you're going to be able to move up your initiative, initiative characteristic directly towards the enemy. And if I'm within 12, I'm going to try and charge. Even if I fail, whatever, you roll, a 10, you still get to move up another 5 inches. And especially for combat-orientated armies, that's awesome. You've just got, now an extra 9 inches. Like, you're guaranteed you're going to charge next round. It's really cool. The extra movement, and just because how everything's faster, you will definitely see, I think, combat shift to being a very popular thing. But it is nice. It's nice enough where some things have been just cleaned up totally. Terrain in general, right? It's only -2 to your movement or charge.
All the time.
All the time. There's no 2d6 bullshit. None of that.
It doesn't matter what terrain you're walking through. It's always just -2.
Unless you charge around it.
Well, yeah. But that's just the thing. There's so many little nuance changes in the new Heresy. Is double check everything. Read all the USRs. I find it's really beneficial to go through the book just like we were doing, like with a group of friends. Have a Discord chat yourselves, right? Get 3, 4, 5 of you going through the book, cranking through rules, talking about it, and then put that into practice when you're playing your game. I think you'll really start to get the hang of the rules quickly. Talk about the rules and talk about interactions after you've done playing. Just so you can also do a recap. I know it's what's helped us collectively learn the fastest, and it's probably going to be very, very beneficial. If you can, join a slow grow league in your local. I know we've got one coming up at the end of July, and it's going to be great. Just so everyone can kind of crank through together and start learning and pulling the rules. The better, let me rephrase that. The more in depth your community learns the rules together, the stronger your player base will be. So you'll have this strong player base who knows this new system. You'll all slow grow together. Everyone's working on projects, getting armies done, getting them all #fully painted, right? That's the goal. So when it does come time to events or campaigns or anything that you want to do in the future, this player base is already ready to go. And the best part is, if you have new players continuing to cycle in, look how many mentors in the group they have to pick on and they can draw from. And chances are there's going to be someone or multiple people in that group setting that plays the same Legion as they do.
Yeah.
So you're really going to start, compounding the experience and the overall enjoyment for everybody. I think it's just probably one of the best ways to go about learning any system.
Mm-hmm.
Bill says that just because he's getting tired of everyone bugging him about the rules.
No. No.
Does this have 2 wounds or 1 wound? What's the instant death rule?
It's there. It's in the book.
Can I charge if I've shot?
You sure can.
Not
That's gonna happen.
Pistol. You can't charge.
Well, yeah, in the rule book it says if you fire rapid fire weapons you can't charge, and then it says you fire pistol you can't charge either. So, question everything. Question everything.
Well,
I do
that's
not
just-
think that's intended. So,
No.
But that's just it. Is the stuff that we've taken for granted or that we remember from the first edition may have changed.
no.
So we're literally like looking at everything,
This
right?
is also not the episode to discuss some of the
No.
errors and omissions.
Right.
Hmm.
But in GW fashion, I'm sure they'll
Oh,
in
yeah.
the next month something will come out.
Yeah, there are some, there are little editing things here and there. A lot of people I know were super upset about Dreadclaws in particular, myself included, because they lost the assault vehicle rule. But after reading like the Deep Strike rules, after kind of looking at how everything kind of interacts, I do kind of see why they've toned it back a little bit. If it is intended, I see why they've done that. I know the Charybdis is an assault vehicle and it drops and disgorges guys. Dreadclaws, I think, are unique because they are typically for version 1.0, they were the cheap Cordus Contemptor transport, or they were the cheap Terminator transport, or your cheap special weapon Melta squad, the combi weapon seeker squad transport, and it was very much like jump out, scuttle close, I'm going to hide in it for a turn, jump out and charge you. And I think they're trying to dial back to, if you're using it as like a very safe way to jump in, then yeah, you'll pay for the exposure, essentially. One thing I've also noticed, just in general across the board, is a lot of the vehicles and transports have all gone up in hull points, which makes vehicles harder to kill. Or some have completely changed to wounds and toughness.
Mm.
But the vehicles, strictly just vehicles, a lot of them are just bumped up by one or two, well, mostly just one hull point, but it's quite a difference, considering vehicles aren't just going to get instant popped anymore.
You heard it here first, people. The vehicle meta is real.
They just can't kill you. They just will survive longer.
Yeah. It's true.
You also have to look at the subtype too, right?
Yeah.
Because what is it? Kratos and Vindicators, they have a reinforced. They don't get slowed by snapshots. Or sorry, they don't get affected by snapshots. So you can keep shooting with these tanks. And then you get the other things like what were you talking, the anti-grav or whatever from the speeders, which are now monstrous flying monstrous creatures.
They're cavalry, aren't they?
Yeah, they're cavalry. They're monstrous creatures. They're toughness.
Cavalry anti-grav is what. Yeah, but it's where before you were able to move and then jink, which is gone, right? And you'd have yourself an invulnerable save, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now there isn't that. Like bikes, speeders, anti-grav units, they don't have that, and they can't claim cover, right? You can use the mitigation rules like shrouded if you ever get it, but it literally says you can't take any cover saves, so it can be very difficult to play those units where before it was like, yeah, javelin speeders, they're great, they're cheap, they're effective, you get all these nice little abilities, and now you don't. So
yeah, well, they are a lot more toned down. Points wise, they're more expensive, obviously, but there are options in that book, right? Like the old ways have changed for sure, in terms of just your list builds, which is I think it's a great time. If you really want to rock, for instance, if you really want to rock those thud guns still, you can rock the shatter shell thud guns, do it just how you used to, but like you're gonna pay 80 points per carriage, so you're looking at 320 points for a 3-man squad. I think that's with Phosphix added as well. So, like, the points have gone up exponentially for some of the really popular units, let's say. But it also helps you spread the love around, I think, because there's so many more ways to play this game now that I think some of the old tactics obviously will still be relevant, but I think there's going to be a lot of new ways to play that'll help, change the face of Heresy for years to come.
Yeah, and GW's been doing this forever.
Yep.
Every edition, they kind of try to switch what is popular, and then they'll bring out if it's going to be like 9th, they might just bring out FAQs that just change what rules that thing has. So maybe they realize bikes aren't as good as what they used to be, and they maybe go, okay, we'll give back the 2+ armor.
The GW autocorrect.
Yeah, the autocorrect. Yeah,
It's good,
Pretty much.
and
Yeah, but
me on the model where the White Scars player touched you.
yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like, so I want to know which play tester had been like got through the special rules and USRs. Like, you know what? Yeah, fuck the stars. They don't need cover saves and
Gregorian Brotherhood?
jinx.
Screw you, man. Screw you. You're not getting no heavy tanks anymore.
Yeah, that too. Keep a lookout on your rights of war and your restrictions. Take a fine-tooth comb and look through all those units. Javelin have the heavy type now, which is cool, but there are some rights of war that will not allow you to run heavy units. So it's like those are out.
Yeah.
Totally. It's
you really have to go through, and what's funny is the subtype is not even like a special. It's not even part of the special section. It's like when you go up to it says infantry, and then it usually in brackets it'll say what it is, and so you could almost miss stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where that subtype, because like Tartaros aren't heavy, but Cataphracti are.
Yeah.
And people could and probably will mix that up.
Yeah.
%. But yeah, it's like you're saying with limitations, it's definitely all there with even for like the Chigorian Brotherhood, really. It's saying vehicles that don't have like the fast subtypes and stuff like that. They really go specifically into what subtypes you need. Or limited to. So going through them, you gotta make sure that you're reading it properly, and then just seeing what units have what. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, and he's just bitter because he has like 30 jet bikes and 2 Sicarans that used to be fast, and now they're just not fast anymore.
Yeah, because pretty much
his whole army got ripped apart.
Well, pretty much it's like any heavy support, or fortification choices. They have to have the flyer subtype, right? So I don't know what fortification would have a flyer subtype, but who knows? See what they do with it. But it just makes it makes that army specifically like it's supposed to be fast, right? There's not supposed to be a slow slogging tank behind, right? So it changes it up. I mean, I'm obviously still going to be playing them.
Yeah.
It's just have to adapt, and I think that's the one big thing with this edition is you being, part of the old guard or a veteran or whatever you want to call it. You definitely are going to have to adapt to the new rules and.
Well, you will.
Limitations, subtypes, reactions, and also the new players coming into it, right?
Yep.
One thing that I know we've mentioned in the past as well, and I can see it's probably going to take effect in our community, the point value of games, I think, is going to increase.
Yeah.
because now you're allowed to have a Lord of War and a Primarch. Is that correct?
Yep.
Whereas before it was either, right?
One or the other. Yeah.
One or the other. And in simple fact, like not just because of that reason, but I think the bigger games are going to happen. Guys are going to want to come out and play with more of their toys, right? So
yeah, I'm calling it 3K or nothing.
3K or nothing.
Well, we played 2,500 for the longest time because that was like mostly what tournaments ran.
Yeah,
and now,
which at the time it was a good points limit, right? Like, I'll agree. At the time, it was just enough to let you take some stuff, but enough to squeeze you to make you make those decisions, those hard choices of what you really wanted in an army. And now I just feel with the way the points have kind of gone up, gone down here and there, I think 3K is going to be really a real sweet spot.
Yeah.
So,
Looks like Porphyrians are back on the menu, boys.
yeah. That's okay. You can take that Porphyrian. You do it.
Actually, and Warhounds too, looks like.
End of Warhound?
No, Warhound 750.
Yeah. Well, you could at 3K.
yeah.
At 3K.
But it does look like Scoria is not a Lord of War choice, so technically you can still do a Pori and a Scori. Huh?
Oh my. Oh my.
Story and a story. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And then there's that too. You have still Mechanicum.
Yeah.
And all the other books that will come out that will probably change the way things are too.
That's true.
I probably annoyed the crap out of you guys, but I keep talking about Cult Mechanic or Cult Militia. I'm just waiting for those zombies, man. I just want those zombies. I just want them to be exactly the same, fearless, and now I want them to run also 9 inches so that I can get them across the board too.
Little does
Dan
Dan
just wants
know.
to play a huge horde.
The Build-A-Bear's all gone. They're just levies now.
Yeah, that's my fear. And that's part of my stress is that the fear of the militia is gone. Like the Build-A-Bear.
It's just the changes, man. There's changes everywhere.
I know.
Who knows what they're going to do with that army? I mean, first, you got to look at model-wise. Are they going to get a whole new range, or is it going to be incorporated with something else?
Just take Cadians, just put Cadians and put, a weird helmet on, and then that's your militia, be it good or bad.
Being led by Ursakar Creed, or what?
There you go.
Ursula Creed?
Ursula, yeah, Ursula. She's got to wear that helmet, though.
Ugh.
Yeah.
We're getting a little sidetracked, but yeah.
But yeah, overall, this episode was kind of like just an initial reaction of what we kind of felt like after we've perused through the rules book in hand. We, fumbled our way through a game. There's going to be more as we digest everything too. There's going to be more episodes coming down the pipe about, a little bit more in depth on maybe some loadouts that we found are working nice, a little tactic talk, just things that we were enjoying in the games. There's lots coming, so definitely stay tuned for that stuff. Overall, out of a score of 10, you guys, what would you give the new Heresy rule pack so far that you've seen?
10. I don't see why anything that would make it worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's probably pretty accurate. It's refreshing. We've been waiting for so long for a new Heresy, and now we have it, and we're all excited about it, right? So, yeah, I agree with Dan. Good old, big old 10.
Fanboys.
Hey, I'm an Ultramarine player, so shh.
What are you thinking, Alex?
8.
8?
8, maybe 8.5.
I was feeling around an 8.5 myself, to be honest.
I think the rule set's good. Reactions are good. The updates are fantastic. The new model range is fantastic. All out of the park. I don't have any complaints there. The rulebook, in its current state, with some of its issues, is upsetting, given that the rules and the ambiguity was the biggest complaint I think most players had in first edition. It was the biggest issue that GW spent a ton of time and money fixing in 9th edition, and to see not the same level of critique and proofreading applied to a full edition with 3 major gorgeous books delivered on day one is pretty upsetting. Like 1.5 out of 10 upsetting.
So average, what is it, 9.25 or something like that? From the 4 of us?
I guess, yeah.
An overall pass, for sure.
Yes.
Overall pass.
It was just cleanup. Cleanup is probably what
that was the biggest thing.
Dragged it down.
Yeah.
Not rules, not models, just cleaning up wording.
I mean, we are all very pleased and excited with the new miniatures that they've been releasing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, can't wait to see what else they start bringing down the pipe. Obviously, we're going to see a lot of Marine stuff, but if they start bringing out other stuff, like if there's any plastic kits for Mechanicum that come out that's 30k era, that would be pretty cool. You know, the Imperial Cults and Militia, the Solar Ox. That'd be pretty cool if they came out with plastic kits for them. Right? You'd see a lot more of those armies being played. Because there are a lot of guys who like the Imperial Army. You know, they're old guard fanboys that like to play them in Heresy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, plastic, Storm Eagles or whatever. That'd be interesting. And the other kits, really. Be cool to see. I can probably see. I'm hoping that they'll come out like plastic jet bikes, plastic, speeders, javelins, stuff like that. So, yeah. Overall, pretty good.
I agree.
Awesome. Let us know in the comments what your favorite changes are in 2.0 if you're a vet, or what you're liking about the system right now currently as a new player. We'd definitely like to hear from both sides of the spectrum in terms of gaming. I know we've got a lot of new players joining us on the lodge, and there's a lot of interaction just bouncing all over the place, so that's nice to see. And yeah, we'll definitely keep feeding you guys some Heresy content, and we'll do some a little bit more in-depth breakdowns later on. So yeah, thanks, gentlemen, for coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime.
And catch you all later.
Bye.
See you.
Trident Wargaming. Build it, paint it, play it.